My name is James Cooper, and I've been a taxi driver in Manchester for the past 15 years. What I'm about to tell you happened last winter, and I still can't explain it. I've picked up thousands of passengers over the years, but this one night changed everything I thought I knew about reality. It was around 2 a.m. on a freezing January morning. The streets were empty, and a thick fog had settled over the city. I was about to call it a night when I got a pickup request from the Old County Hospital. Now, I should mention that I'd never heard of this hospital before, which was weird because I know every street and building in Manchester like the back of my hand. I plugged the address into my GPS and followed it to the outskirts of town. The route took me down some back roads I didn't even know existed. Finally, I pulled up to this massive Victorian-style building. It looked ancient, with ivy crawling up its walls and windows glowing with a dim yellow light. The sign read Old County Hospital in faded letters. An elderly woman was standing at the entrance. She wore a nurse's uniform that looked like something from the 1950s. When she got into my cab, I noticed how pale she was, almost gray. Her skin seemed to have this weird, translucent quality to it. "Thank you for coming," she said in a whisper. "I need to get to 24 Willow Street." Her voice had this strange echo to it, like she was speaking from the bottom of a well. As we drove, I tried making small talk. "Rough night shift?" I asked, glancing at her in the rearview mirror. "Oh yes," she replied. "It's always busy here, especially since the fire." "Fire?" I asked. "The one in 1953. Such a tragedy, so many lost." My blood ran cold. I looked in the rearview mirror again, but the back seat was empty. I slammed on the brakes. The car skidded to a stop in the middle of the road. My hands were shaking as I turned around to check the back seat. Nothing. No nurse, no passenger, just an empty seat. The next morning, I couldn't shake off what had happened. I drove back to where the hospital had been, but there was nothing there. Just an empty lot overgrown with weeds. A local shop owner saw me standing there and came over. "You all right, mate?" he asked. I pointed to the empty lot. "The hospital. The Old County Hospital. It was here last night." The old man's face went white. "Old County Hospital? That burned down in 1953. Killed 30 people, including most of the night staff. There was this one nurse, Sarah Wilson, who kept going back into the flames to save patients. She never made it out." I went home and Googled the hospital. There it was, articles from 1953 about the tragic fire. And there was a photo that made my legs go weak. The nurse in the picture, standing proudly in front of the hospital before the fire, was my passenger from last night. Same uniform, same face, same everything. I've been driving taxis for 15 years, and I've seen some strange things. But I've never picked up another fare from the Old County Hospital. Sometimes when I drive past that empty lot on foggy nights, I think I can see the outline of a building. And in one of the windows, a figure in an old nurse's uniform, still waiting to help just one more patient. The weirdest part? Last week I looked up 24 Willow Street, the address she'd given me. It's a nursing home now. But back in 1953, it was where Sarah Wilson lived. They say she never made it home that night. I still drive the night shift. But now when I get a pickup request from an address I don't recognize, I think twice before accepting it. Because sometimes the passengers you pick up aren't heading home. They're still trying to get there, even decades later.